Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable with lies they eat like comfort food? To disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims. Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace, but ilk shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible, holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was no one who have to prove a claim you make. And folks really feel ashamed to express some content that was fake. It's not to say we never make mistakes. It's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason stay strapped with logic and facts. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason.
Welcome everybody to Road to Reason, the Skeptic Guide for the 21st Century. Here are your hosts, CJ Duncan and Kayla Turzak. Later in the show, we're going to be talking to Diana MC about the Young Atheist Convention, so please hang out for that. So how are you doing, Kayla?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a good week. Last week we had an ice storm apparently, and we didn't get the interview Baba Brinkman. Apparently we're going to be doing that next week.
Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. So tune in for next week. Today, later in the show, we're going to be interviewing Diana MC about the Young Atheist Convention. But first, let's go with the news.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to, we have an Atheist of the Week. According to The Guardian and some other news sources, two well-known Bangladeshi American critics of religious extremism were attacked, and this was not last Thursday, but the Thursday before that at 8:45 p.m. The married activist couple, Ajiv Roy and Rafida Ahmed Bana, I do apologize, I probably botched those names, but they apparently were returning from a book fair at Dhaka University, and just to quote the Guardian news article that I was reading, Roy himself was the founder of a free thought blog, and he featured articles on scientific reasoning and religion, and was receiving threats for some time. And he had a Facebook posting this month that said that he would be killed once he arrived in the capital, and so he was attacked on the 15th of February. So there have been some protests as well about this incident.
Yeah. We feel very comfortable here in the States being atheists, but it's easy to forget how hard other people around the world have it. They are threatened with their life all the time, whether it's in Bangladesh, in India, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia. Like, we have it pretty good here, and if we want to make the world a better place, we have to start incentivizing people to be able to have conversations without having to go and be violent. So,
you know, one of the things that people say separates new atheism and old atheism, whatever old atheism was, is the fact that we're able to actually speak out, and we are more vocal. And I think that you see that even more so in countries where you're literally persecuted for having a rational mindset when it comes to religion. But yeah, we do have a comfortable, cushy little couches in America, or in the United States, where we can not have to worry about literally being killed all the time for our non-beliefs.
That's a question I really want to tackle, is how can people be able to have conversations without inciting violence? If we are able to answer that question, a lot of violence in the world will disappear.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a joke?
Yeah, I'd like to hear a joke. Is this an atheist joke?
It is an atheist joke,
okay.
Yes. So, why do atheists are bad at polynomials?
Why?
They do not believe in higher powers.
Funny.
Yeah, something to light up the mood. Yeah.
All right, but.
Yeah, so.
We have a second news piece.
Yes.
So apparently and I had seen this, it's been in the works for a while. Recovering from Religion, an organization that has been set up to support those who are coming out of religion and may be devastated because religion was their entire life or their entire community, and they have no support anymore. So Recovering from Religion, they actually set up a hotline for people to call if they're questioning their faith, or if they are in a position where they don't know where to go in light of the lack of their faith. And so one of the goals of the atheist community in general is to provide support for those who do find themselves without faith in light of evidence against those unfounded beliefs. So it's great that this hotline project has now been released, and you can go to recoveringfromreligion.org and find that we can find that there. Okay, we do have that up on the lower thirds.
Yeah, it's right there. 1-844-368-2848. I repeat, it's 1-844-368-2848.
Yeah, and this is not a deconversion hotline, right?
Okay, so what are the type of people that Recovering from Religion is trying to reach out for this number?
They're trying to really reach out to people. First of all, these people are trained to actually listen. They're not trained to try to deconvert you. That's not what the point is. Mm-hmm. It's to give you information if you're in a spot where somehow you either are doubting your religion or you have found yourself without faith and do not have some place to turn. Although we do have a very secular organizations in this area, there are a lot of people who are in religious organizations and they don't have the opportunity because they're surrounded by religion and they're surrounded by their organization, and they don't have anywhere to go for information. So it's mostly a place to disseminate information and a good ear to listen to what you're going through.
And if I need something more than that, how can this hotline help me out?
This hotline, its main purpose is to give you information and get you connected with organizations that can help you. So blogs, Recovering Religion has groups that meet up. If you look them up on meetups.com, you can find them and go to one of their it's very pressure-free, just to talk about the things that you've been going through.
Like, I'm really glad that Recovering from Religion is doing this, because I remember that I was terrified of the idea of going to hell or there not being a God, and it took me a long time to be able to get over that. If there was a hotline that could help me out, someone to talk to, because that's the thing, just someone to talk to. It's like, if you're just coming out of religion, you probably know no other atheists other than yourself. So just to have someone to talk to, I'm very glad that this hotline is a thing. Yeah,
it is personal to me as well. I went to one of the Recovering from Religionist meetups a couple of times when I was coming out of my organization. I was a part of an organization, we were really close, and I had separated myself from a lot of people that were not a part of my organization. And when I left, I lost an entire community. So having things like this, if this had been up, I would have called this hotline for help. I would have called this hotline for help. And although I found the information on my own, I can just imagine how much easier and how much less emotional turmoil I would have been in if I would have realized I wasn't insane sooner. Like, if I would have had someone to talk to listen to me. So
yeah, I remember the first time I went to Mason and I heard just another guy say, I'm an atheist. Like, that was immediately something that I could latch to. It's like, at last I found someone else that exists with me in this vicinity that shares some of the doubts and problems that I have. So, and from there, it gone on until what we have now, which is the Secular Student Alliance at George Mason University, and it's been a great community. I really enjoy it. You never really believed it, did you? Or you kind of came out of it and then joined an atheist community a lot later? Correct. Yeah, okay. Like I started believing in Catholicism in Panama, and leaving Catholicism was very easy. Like, as soon as you just study a little about the history of religion, but the idea of God That was a trickier idea to get out of my head, and that took way longer to get out. Yeah, it wasn't until I was an adult that I started to leave the idea of God.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of support out there if you want to join a religion. It's a buffet of religions. You can just go and figure out what you want to believe, and you take from that, and you can believe it. But when you want to step back and say, okay, I want a rational worldview, where do you go? Where do you go for support when you are emotionally ripped from something that has been not a crutch, but something that you've learned to rely on?
Yeah, your community, your religious community, you rely on them for a lot of people most of their life. Yeah. And now the question is, without that community, how do you continue? And at least for me, the solution was find another community that was in line with my values. Yeah.
And I think the online community does a good job of this. I think that's one reason why Advait Roy was so important to people, and his death is so sad because he was an online blogger. He was someone who spoke out against religion online. And a lot of people come to the realization that their religious beliefs aren't necessarily founded in fact through online bloggers such as this man who really, there's great people out there and great organizations. There's a lot of resources. So if you need any resources, if you're questioning and you just need someone to listen to you, definitely take advantage of those online communities and things such as Recovering from Religion's website.
Yeah, Roy with his blog on Free Thought Blogs and the different groups on Facebook, on Meetup, on YouTube, on Google+, like any social media presence, like they are very helpful. It's easier to realize that there are other people similar to you out there just by looking it up on the internet. And eventually you'll be able to meet these people in real life. It took me a while, but I eventually did.
And it was on a college campus.
It is.
What was your first experience coming across, I knew you had that one point, you were saying before, where you heard someone speak who was an atheist. What was that first interaction?
Oh yeah, so it was kind of fun. So I was in a club on campus, and then he eventually became the president of our group. He was talking about, hey, we should have a secular group on campus because there is all these different kind of Christians and Muslim and Jewish groups, but there was not a group for us. He was talking to another person, and I was just basically eavesdropping. I was having another conversation with another person, but as soon as he said atheist, like my ears just pricked up. And
did you identified as an atheist?
Yeah,
okay.
At that point I did, right? But I haven't met another atheist in real life. I've only seen them.
Oh, in real life.
Yeah, like the only people that I've seen were people on YouTube or people that I read on the blogs, right? And he was the first person in real life that I met that was an atheist. And so I was like, dude, I heard that you were talking about making this club. Let's make it happen. And 2 years later, here you are.
Yeah. You're an atheist activist in a community of people.
It's awesome. Yeah. So right now we're going to take a break and start with our PSA. So please hang out and come back.
Homemade noodles. Marty, stop it. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It reminds me, I've been thinking maybe we should try a new form of birth control. I heard about this one. It's called the IUD, intrauterine device. Or we could try the patch on your arm. Actually, I think that one goes in your butt.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
What do you think, then? Arm or the butt?
There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
This is Richard Dawkins.
Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week, the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait. Look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, or there'll be hell to pay.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right, so we're gonna let Diana introduce herself and a little bit about what's happening with the Young Atheist Convention.
Sure. So my name is Diana. I'm the Public Relations Officer at the Secular Student Alliance at the George Mason University campus. And we've been planning for months now. We've been planning this convention. It's super exciting. Young Atheist Convention, like you just mentioned. We have speakers, panels, entertainment. We're getting a bunch of secular organizations, both local and across the country, to come represent and interact with the people coming. So we're super excited about it.
Nice. So what is your goal in making this convention?
Sure. So obviously, we're trying to bring people out, bring them together, introduce them to the different organizations that are out there. I think you guys mentioned this a little before. It's people aren't aware of how many resources they have available and the great organizations that they could be a part of and interact with. So we're definitely trying to connect people with these organizations, and obviously we're targeting a younger population, but anyone is welcome, of course. And just creating that community with young secular people is what we're hoping to accomplish.
Young at heart, right?
There you go.
So
yeah, what do we expect if we go to this convention?
Sure. So like I mentioned, it's a one-day event. It's going to be on April 5th, so Easter Sunday, and it's from 12 to 6. And it's going to be speakers. We have some really interesting panels. We have one on humanism and activism, and also another one on science and technology. So it's going to be a lot of interesting conversation for sure.
Cool. What are the speakers?
So some of the speakers we have Stephanie Guttormson. She's the operations director at the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science. She's going to be speaking about pseudoscience. We also have Kelly Damerow. She's the interim director at the Secular Coalition for America, and she'll be speaking about activism in secularism. And then our third speaker is Anderson Thompson, and he's a trustee at the Richard Dawkins Foundation, and he's speaking about why we believe in gods. It's a more psychological talk. It's very interesting. Absolutely.
So I heard entertainer. What
entertainer. So we're also going to have a stand-up comedian, Robert Mack, do a 45-minute skit. So it's really exciting.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I also heard panelists. So what panels are going to be on there?
Sure. So for the humanism and activism panel, our main panelist is Faisal Al-Mutar, and he's a very prominent activist in the secular community. He's the founder of the Global Humanist Secular Movement. I guess that's one of his biggest accomplishments. So we're excited for him. Also on that panel, we have Fred Edwards. He's the director of planned giving at the American Humanist Association. We also have Zach Ford, who's a LGBT editor at thinkprogress.com, and Kayla Damaro, who's one of the speakers. She's also going to be on this panel.
Excellent.
And are these the same? The panels are separate from the actual organizations. You said that there's organizations that are going to be setting up and promoting some of the local things that the atheist community is doing in the area.
Yeah, so for the first part of the convention, when people first get there, that's what they're going to be doing, is interacting with these different tables and kiosks that the organizations are going to set up, and they're going to have materials to pass out and talk to whoever approaches. We're also going to have a lunch break. Lunch will be provided.
Okay, yeah, I'm there.
Nice, and that's another opportunity for the people to interact with the different organizations who are going to be there.
What an excellent bait for young people than food.
I mean, Christian ministries do it, so I'm sure you've gone to at least one, maybe one for the food, right?
Yeah.
They walk by a table and
definitely.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you for a second.
We're all
donut.
Yeah, but I mean, the best part about this is that attendance is completely free. So, for young people on a budget, I know that sounds amazing. So,
is there a place where someone can go and give if they're interested in donating to a cause like this?
Absolutely. So we actually do have a Facebook event for this, and we have an actual webpage for the event, and that's youngatheistconvention.splash.com, and you have all the information I just mentioned and much more on that website. There's also contact information if you would like to donate or help out with the convention, be involved in any way. So check that out.
All right, so I'm going to ask a little bit more about what it's like to be a young person on a college campus, because I'm assuming the reason why you're having this convention is to support young people on college campuses who don't have a faith.
Sure.
So what do you think is the purpose for an organization to put on something like a conference for non-believers?
Right, so we have a lot of religious groups on campus, as I'm sure many campuses do. The Muslim Association, Crew, Campus Ministries, the Catholic Ministry. And they have a very big presence. They have a lot of members in their community. And it's a great place, for young people to get together who share a similar idea and connect with other people. It's a social aspect. It's both like a support group. So we're definitely trying to create that with the Secular Student Alliance on campus. And we think that an event like this is going to bring out even more people, not just from our campus, from campuses all over the state, hopefully at least in the area. And we're also targeting high school age people. There's clubs.
Yeah, that's really
different
cool.
high schools in the area.
Yeah, I was a part of a Christian ministry when I was a college student. I graduated last year, and I was heavily involved in that. We did a lot of evangelism, whatever that word means. We were talking about that beforehand. We did a lot of conferences too. I mean, literally once a semester we'd have a conference.
Wow. Okay.
It was a big deal because it's a lot of people getting together and supporting each other in our faith.
Right.
But there was a lot of the purposes of these conferences were to get us hyped up to do more evangelism, and that was our purpose. What do you think? Do you think that these kind of organizations, and what do you think that looks like to people outside looking in? Do you think that people might perceive events like this as a means of evangelism, I guess you could call it?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that. I guess our goal is a little different. We're really focusing on building that community, reaching out to people to come out and be okay with being an atheist and being secular. I know that has a lot of stigma with it, those words. So that's kind of more our focus as opposed to evangelism. And I think a big part is, there are conventions and things put on the national level by bigger organizations like American Atheists and things like that. But, it's for a young person, someone, a college student on a budget, it's hard to make that trip across the country and pay those dues. So that's why we think this is so great. It's going to be free. It's in the DC area where there's a lot of groups, a lot of colleges, a lot of campuses that we are hoping to attract and really connect with this convention.
That's really great. I'm glad we're able to support our young atheists in the area. It looks like we actually have a caller, Joe from Ashburn. So can we get Joe on the phone?
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Hey, Joe.
Hi. So, hey, this is fantastic. I'm an older guy, but I was very religious when I was young, and I became an atheist in my 20s as well, and so I can certainly feel I'm excited to see that you guys are able to get away from the mythology. Now, the question I have, and this is where I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, is that the thing about atheism is that we don't really have something totally in common like religious people do. Religious people, they have their own mythology, they have their own. They get excited when they get together to talk about, things that pertain to their religion. But atheists mean pretty much we don't believe, in something. We don't believe in a higher power. And as such, it's the same thing as, the old saying, you can't, what's someone who doesn't collect stamps, that sort of thing. So what we find is that there's a much wider diversity among atheists than there are among people who are in religion, because we don't really get together necessarily to talk about, oh, hey, we're atheists, hey, that's fantastic. No, I mean, after a while it gets tiring, then it gets exhausting, or not exhausting, but it just gets boring. So what we try to do is talk about, science or other things, but at the same time, there are a lot of atheists who aren't interested in science, and there are a lot of atheists who aren't interested in talking about, things, social issues and so on. So I guess the big thing for me is, how do you get atheists together and keep them all interested when maybe there's such a diversity among us that is not as prevalent among those of the same religion? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you want to take that, Diana?
Sure. So, I agree. There's a lot of diversity with atheists, and that's one of the things I love about it. You say that there's nothing that we have in common. I mean, personally, I kind of see that lack of belief as something we have in common, and it gives us, a way different worldview than a religious person would have. So the conversations you have with fellow atheists, I think, go in a completely different direction. But we definitely embrace the diversity, and I mean, with our club on campus, we encourage religious people to come out. We actually have Jewish people, Christians, Muslims, attend our meetings regularly. So we love having those different viewpoints in there. But back to how do you I guess
bring all these atheists together.
How do you keep them interested? Group. Yeah, I mean, we try to keep, for example, for our weekly meetings that we have a discussion topic every meeting, and we try to keep the discussion topics very balanced. We talk about current events or abstract ideas about life, happiness, and fulfillment, and all that. Mm-hmm. So we also do activism, or we'll do science and technology related ones. So we try to have a really good diversity of topics to encourage people to come out and reach as many people as we can. And I think that's what we're trying to do with the conference as well. I think we have a lot of different topics. It's going to be, I guess, something in there for everyone is what we're trying to do. So, hopefully.
So Joe, real quick before we move on, do you have your TV on, the volume up while you're talking to us? Because it seems like you're getting some feedback. Right.
No, it's the volume is completely turned down.
Okay, thanks.
It's just me on the phone, sorry.
But I know for me personally, not that I'm the one being interviewed, but I've had people ask me what kind of atheist groups are in the area, and I did a lot of bouncing around when I first came out of religion. And there's a diversity of groups that go for different purposes. Some of them are humanist groups, and I know what I'm going to get out of a humanist group. Some of them are atheist groups. It says atheist or free thought. I think, I'm going to get together with a group of people and we're going to have big intellectual discussions about religion specifically and why religion can be a bad thing. And I think that's a good thing. I think that diversity, I think that the convention, based on the topics that we've been hearing, might actually touch on that diversity.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing, because we can share. We don't want to be we don't want to be that one. We want to be cats that can't be herded. It's cool to be an individual. So.
That's great to hear, and I want to add as well that when I was, I'm hearing feedback through my own phone, but then I think coming out of the speaker in the room there, coming back through my phone. Anyway, sorry about that. My point is that I left religion when I was back in, when I was in my 20s, well, now I'm 54, so it was in the 80s, before internet, before meetups, before phone numbers we could call and so on. Mm-hmm. And so we were much, much more on our own, and it's fantastic that now there are so many venues out there for getting together, and, my hat's off to you. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe, for calling Road to Reason.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Have a great day. Yeah, that idea that the only thing that we share is the lack in belief in God. Like in the abstract, that is true, but we are also people that have other beliefs and other behaviors that have history. So I've been noticing that there are clusters of similarities. Like there are a cluster of people that, because they are from countries that are very uniformly religious, their backgrounds and the way that they came out of religion is similar. Or you would have, like here in the States, people that come from the South that that also have a similar history and a similar set of beliefs than us. So it's not that because we're atheists, therefore there are things that we believe. It's just that it's correlated that because you're an atheist, there are these other beliefs that you have. And it's not that we all share the same beliefs, but there are clusters of beliefs that you might share with people.
Yeah, and I have a question though. I mean, we're all young here today. So do you think that there is a difference in the mentality between someone who's, let's say, 30 or under, who is an atheist nowadays, as opposed to someone who's above that? Do you think that there's a we approach things a little bit differently?
Yeah.
People talk about new and old atheism all the time, but do you think there's an actual mentality difference between someone like us, who just got out of college, and someone who's, 40 plus?
So there's a lot of factors that I think that does influence among that. First of all, it's so easy to communicate with each other. The internet, like you can see the data. As soon as the internet goes up, right there behind it goes the amount of atheists in that country. We also have, because of the internet, we also have a lot of access to science, right? To history, things that people in the past did not have. And also, we are more vocal. Right? We are in this show. We are speaking to you. We are vocal. And I don't think that would be a thing in the past.
Right. I definitely think we're braver, and with the circumstances, we are available to go out there and not be afraid to say we're atheists, and we want to have a club and we want to get together and talk about atheist things, whatever. And I think that was a stigma in the past, and now it's definitely getting better, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I know that one of the reasons why I was able to kind of get information about my religion, about not believing in God, that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I had lived 20 years ago, and I was my age 20 years ago, was YouTube.
Yes.
I watched tons and tons of YouTube channels because I came across one atheist YouTube channel. The first atheist YouTube video I'd ever come across was not Road to Reason, the Atheist Experience. Got to watch Matt Dillahunty be a jerk. And I did not like him. But we have access to this information. Do you feel like you're able to use that as a young atheist activist?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely outreach is one of, I think, the biggest challenges that people used to have in the past is, reaching out to fellow people that think the same way. And I think, obviously the most important thing with something like this, being an atheist is something that makes you stand out against the majority, right? In this country, in this world, probably. So knowing that there's other people out there, that there's people like you, that helps so much. Having that support group, it makes it so much easier for you to be like, oh, well, it's okay for me to think like this. It's okay for me to have these ideas. And I think that's the biggest difference that technology has done for us, is knowing you're not alone.
And it doesn't need to be pockets of people in cities too, because now that we have online communities, you can come across YouTube and bloggers, and like we were saying before, there's information out there for people.
One thing that I really like is this idea that we are able to communicate with anyone. Like, is there a blogger out there that you like? Email him. Like, there's so many places that you could go. There's Atheist, there's Free Thought blogs, there's all these YouTube channels. You were talking about the Atheist Experience. Yeah, I love that show. Like, I got a lot of philosophy and logic from there. There's also Christina Rad. There is Jacqueline Glenn. There is so many people that you could talk to online, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. How many atheist Facebook groups are on Facebook? There's so many of them, and there's going to be one that aligns with your values and your beliefs.
I have a question though. So, do you think that with the advent of an idea becoming a pop sensation, not that we're a pop sensation by any stretch of the word, but I mean, do you think that something becoming more popular may cause it to be dumbed down and people not understanding good arguments about religion and good arguments, just, apologetic, easy arguments that are easy to refute if someone actually knows what they're talking about? Do you think that there's a dumbing down of those deep, essential ideas that cause people to walk away from religion at all?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. That's an interesting concept. CJ, did you have something to say on that?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because Greta Christina, she did a talk about lessons that the atheist movement can learn from the LGBT movement. Yeah.
We had to talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that she brought up is that as the movement grows larger, it is likelier that the movement will dumb down, because the people that had to do that first step when the community was small, they were people that had to think about the reasoning by themselves, right?
Right.
But
Trailblazers.
they're the trailblazers of the philosophy, of the logic, of the rationality. But as the community gets larger, all those philosophies has already been developed, so people don't have to bring it up themselves. They could just look it up online or look it up at conventions. So for other people that weren't going to do that philosophizing by themselves, they are able to look it up online, which is great. The other thing is that atheism is only a thing because in the US and in most of the countries that we live in, religion is a big thing. If you go to countries that like the Nordic countries, in which religion is not a big thing, you'll have vast majorities of people that do not believe in God, yet they do not identify themselves as atheists, because it's not a distinguishing feature anymore. It's not distinguishing to be something apart from the majority.
If everybody collected stamps, we'd be calling ourselves non-stamp collectors, So
that is true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if everybody does something and you don't do it, you're going to be the, minority in that situation, and therefore there is you create yourself a community. Everybody does that. It's human nature. You need support in your non-stamp collecting. So
a community of non-stamp collectors.
That would happen if everybody collected stamps. If that was a thing,
you would be the weird one out.
Exactly.
I was just going to say, now that you mentioned that, I think I do see a difference between people who were born into an atheist family, who they were just always atheists because that's what their parents told them, and then people who came from a religious or whatever background, never really thought about it and came to the realization by themselves. I think it definitely gives them a more skeptical view of the world, and I feel like you can have different conversations with those people as opposed to those who were just brought up in it, and they never had to think about it, they never had to question anything. So that's really interesting.
As soon as I developed skepticism as a way of testing people's propositions, like, I could see so many of our beliefs just shedding away and having to start from the rock bottom and build from there, because I realized so much of the things that I believed, they were based on this view of God existing. So not believing in God, everything that was built on top of that had to go away.
Okay. So, what other things do young atheists on campus? I'm going to say young atheists a lot because that's the convention title, so I've got to. That's advertising. Anyway, so what other things do young atheists do on campus to, I'm not going to say advertise, to promote your idea?
So the Secular Student Alliance at George Mason, we actually just started it back up kind of last year in the fall semester. It had been on campus before, but it died down, and it was maybe like 2 members left.
It was just last year?
It was just last year.
I came in at the end of it, and you guys are great. Anyway, sorry.
Right, so there was 4 or 5 people in those first initial meetings, myself being one of them, and we got the ball rolling, and we were really excited to find other atheists, coming. We were all actually freshmen in college.
pamphlets. Like, stick it up next to the Bible study pamphlets.
Yeah, so eventually, so like we started thinking of strategies and how to like outreach. We can't be the only atheists on campus, right? So it's a huge campus, 33,000 students, I think.
If we find out we are the only atheists, then fine, we'll have our own club.
There we go. Yeah, so we definitely started doing a lot of advertising. We started doing weekly booths on campus where we would set up in one of our main centers where it gets a lot of student traffic, and we would have materials from the National Secular Student Alliance. They would send us materials free of charge, of course. They're awesome. Pamphlets, like you were saying, stickers, whatever, to get people educated and informed about what is atheism or how to get involved with the movement, atheism, secularism, all that. But I think one of the biggest things we accomplished with those booths were answering questions we had a lot of religious people approach and just like, oh, you guys are atheists, like you're really like just honestly surprised that we can just
ask an atheist.
Yeah, so we had our Secular Student Alliance sign and our Ask an Atheist sign. That's what we called our little kiosk. So yeah, a lot of people were surprised, like you're okay with saying that in public. You're just gonna sit here and tell me you're an atheist.
It's not a curse word.
Sure, but we've had some very interesting conversations with the religious people and nothing negative so far. So it's really good. Yeah, it's welcoming. But yeah, that's how we got the majority of our members. For the rest of the semester, we eventually grew. Now we have about 20 to 30 people attend our weekly meetings, so it's definitely something to be proud of.
I was terrified of atheists. Like, we had, I went to University of Maryland, and they had an Ask an Atheist table every once in a while. But because I was a part of a campus ministry, my campus minister told me that pretty much you guys wanted just to fight. And so I think in the back of my head I wanted to ask questions, so I always went the other way. Like literally I would see the atheist table wide berth. It was funny.
That's really interesting.
It's funny what you do. You have those and that's another thing too that's good to get young, healthy, lovely, happy faces out on TV defending
these people right here?
Yeah. Because then we don't have that, like, not that other people are mean and grumpy, but I think there's a different perspective when people who are non-threatening in a way, like Aaron Raw, great guy, kind of threatening looking, so
yeah, we're definitely trying to establish ourselves as a friendly and welcoming group. Like I mentioned, we interact with a lot of religious people. We actually have done a lot of events with the religious organizations on campus where we dedicated a whole meeting to them, like our Baha'i Club, the Muslim Association. We had them come in and just talk about their faith and why they believe what they believe. We had some really interesting discussions. Again, nothing heated, nothing negative. I think we both benefited from it. So I think that's something we're going to try to do a lot in the future as well.
And you have debates too on campus. A God debate every year. Yeah. The last one, like, what was that like?
Yeah, so the last one we had was this past semester in the fall. It was on Does God Exist, which was kind of a silly topic, but I think it went in a really interesting way. We had one of our members debate a fellow Christian student on campus. Our guy was a philosopher, a PhD student, so I think we definitely picked a good one. But yeah, those are events that usually draw a bigger crowd, so we try to do a couple of those every semester, have a debate or a special meeting.
Yeah, I did go. I was just asking for the benefit of the audience. But yeah, it was a good debate. Yeah, it was a good debate.
And also another thing we're trying to do, we're just starting out this year, is do service projects and more humanist work. We did a fundraiser last semester. It was called Baptize an Atheist, where we had water balloons set up, and we had our president, actually, Alex, he volunteered to be the half-naked victim of this, I guess. So we would have people pay to throw water balloons at him, and all the money we collected, we did a service project where we bought a bunch of things, food items, gloves, water bottles. It was starting to get cold outside, so we tried to do socks and gloves and things to keep people warm. We put together care packages and went to DC and distributed them to the homeless population. So I think that was a really great thing we did.
Anyone was like sacrilege, baptize an atheist? I don't know. Was anybody
so we didn't have anyone approach us in person while we were doing the fundraiser on campus, but we did see some stuff on Facebook about people complaining about it and saying it was disrespectful to say baptize an atheist and things like that.
They have a monopoly on that word.
I mean, apparently. So I wish people would have approached us in person. I feel like we could have had a good discussion. Well, actually, we did have a few people religious people approach us, but not the negative ones. They were just generally curious about what we were doing, where's the money going, things like that, which obviously we were very happy to let them know what we're doing.
Are you repeating that event again?
Yeah, we're planning on doing it again this semester. So last semester we did water balloons. This semester we're getting a dunk tank. So it's really exciting.
Ooh, so real baptism.
Really, yeah, real baptism.
Like submersion. Do you guys have like a debate about that, whether it's like sprinkling or submersion?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, like, you tried one, now you try the other. Get them doubly heathenized? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But so who is blessing the water?
You know, we haven't gotten that far yet.
There you go. Wet meatballs.
Huh? This pasta monster.
Yeah.
Spaghetti monster.
Yeah.
I forgot mine. I have one that sometimes I take him under the show. It's a buddy. It's a buddy of mine.
That's nice. Okay.
Yeah. We should see it more often.
Yeah, I'm a friend of God, so.
There you go. What is your position in the group? Like, what do you do?
Sure. So I'm the public relations officer. So I take care of a lot of the marketing materials we have, posters and flyers we post around campus to advertise our meetings and any events we're holding. The website for our convention, I created that as well. Any Facebook events for anything we're doing, and just getting the word out there about different things, and being kind of an outreach coordinator on campus for the students.
How did you get involved with that, though? Like, you said a little bit about it, like you and someone else got together and just like, we should start something. But
well, actually, so I don't remember how I heard about that first meeting, but I heard there was a Secular Student Alliance meeting, like within my first weeks of college last year, and I was really excited about it. And when I showed up and it was only like 4 other people, I was like, okay. And that's when we started talking. Like I mentioned, we were all freshmen. We were all like, okay, we have to like make this into a real group. So.
And have you always been secular, or is it just a recent thing, like when you got into college you're interested in like learning more, you just realized it, or
no, so actually I was brought up Catholic. I grew up in Eastern Europe until I was 10. Very, very Catholic community, very Catholic country. And then once we came to the United States, we kind of stopped going to church, stopped being involved in the in that community as much. So I wasn't as tied to it, and then my brother, who's also an atheist, kind of introduced me to this idea, and the more I looked into it, everything just clicked, I guess. So I guess around like 12 or 13 is when I started identifying as atheist.
Wow.
But I didn't know, none of my friends were atheists. They were all religious or didn't care enough to identify as an atheist, I guess. And then I grew up, I went to school, middle school and high school in Lynchburg, Virginia, home of Liberty University. So definitely not a lot of secular people there. Yeah,
it's more churches and Starbucks, and that's crazy, right?
Basically, yeah. So coming to college, I was really excited to hopefully find other people like me. So.
And you did.
I did.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like, doesn't Liberty University have like a hidden atheist group?
Are they allowed to have any? They don't have to.
No,
they're not.
You don't have to be Christian to go there.
No, you don't.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of people who go there. Sorry, you were saying?
No, sorry. I was just gonna say back to your question. I think they have a club that's worded something about maybe skepticism or something, free thinkers, something to stray away from secular atheists. But I'm not sure about if it's an actual big presence on campus or anything.
So cool. People, if you know of it, let us know on Facebook. Road to Reason on Facebook.
Yeah, and let us know if Liberty University has an atheist community.
Or a secret one.
A secret atheist community.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Very secret, yes.
Yeah. Post it on Facebook. Keep it secret.
There we go.
Yeah, keep it safe.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So with the convention itself, what was the date again? It was April, correct?
April 5th, so Easter Sunday.
Oh, Easter Sunday.
Yes.
Was that on purpose?
We picked a great day. Honestly, it wasn't on purpose, but when it worked out like that, we were, wow, that's awesome. We should have thought of that to begin with.
You should have thanked God, didn't you?
Yeah. So we were going to have Alex on today. Alex, the president, right?
Yes. Yeah. But for those that don't know, this is spring break. So people's kind of scattered pretty quick.
Absolutely. So that's cool. So what kind of other events does a college secular organization, do other than get together and debate about God. Do you guys I know you said you wanted to promote community as well. Is there other aspects where you guys go and hang out and stuff?
Sure. So aside from our formal meetings and our formal events that we do, we've definitely tried to do things outside of the group and hang out, outside of school hours. And I think a lot of friendships have been formed, and it's really cool to see that we put that together. We made this club into what it is, and we have these beautiful friendships and groups of people hanging out now. It's awesome.
Do you feel like a lot of people in the group are promoting this? Here's a good question. So I was wondering how many other colleges are involved in this? Is this just a George Mason thing, and how did you reach out to other colleges in order to get this together?
So it is actually just us planning it.
Okay.
We have reached out to other campuses in the area for help. We haven't had too much luck with that. A lot of them said they will be attending, but as far as planning or funding, unfortunately, we haven't had too much help from other organizations as much as we would have.
Did you get any funders though? Did you get anybody actually donating and helping out financially?
No. So actually, this is the first year we're planning this. So that the whole donation and funding thing is a lot to go through for a student organization. So we didn't really do that this year. Definitely in the years to come, we're going to focus on that. But all our funding is actually coming from our university. Every student club gets a certain amount of funding each year that you have to apply for any events you want to do on campus. So us being a big organization that we are now, we do get a good amount of funding. So that's what we're using for the convention.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about other organizations on campus, and specifically we were talking about the Baptize the Atheist and whether or not people actually approached you about it.
Sure.
Do you get any kind of evangelical organizations or other religious organizations contacting you or intimidating you in any way, or is it just kind of we're here, they're there?
Sure. So we actually have not had any trouble with that, with any intimidating or threatening situations with other organizations. So we've been very fortunate so far. Everyone's been, the ones that we have been in contact with, it's been to cooperate and to learn more about each other. So it's been on a positive note. And we've actually gotten a lot of people stop by, well, not a lot. We've gotten a few religious people from other religious organizations stop by our kiosks or at our events and say, wow, this is really cool. I'm glad you guys are doing this and actually supporting us. So I think that's a really great thing.
And you guys both go to this campus. Maybe this is a good question for both of you. What is the tone of the religious organizations on campus? Do they go and outreach a lot? Are they Bible studies everywhere?
Yes.
Definitely.
Have you had any pamphlets thrown at you?
I can't tell you how many times people have asked me to come to their Bible studies or just, can I have
So you have heard the good news. Okay.
Just to make sure.
Absolutely. Or just asked me to, do you have a few minutes to sit down with me to talk? And I always know where the discussion leads. It's always about religion. Have you been saved? Do you accept Jesus in your heart? And all that beautiful. Yeah, so, and they also, obviously all these clubs have, they've been on campus for a lot longer than us. They're a lot bigger, they're more structured. They have donors constantly helping them out every year, so they're able to do a lot of large-scale events. And as far as their outreach, they used food a lot. They had cotton candy machines, ice cream last year. They had fried Oreos one time, which are amazing, by the way.
I'll get saved for fried Oreos. Just for today.
There you go. They pass out free stuff like water bottles.
You do a spaghetti event. Like Spaghetti Monster event, where you just have a buffet where it's like spaghetti buffet.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we had one of the
Georgetown University.
Georgetown, yeah, they put on a Flying Spaghetti Monster dinner
really
last year that
That's
we
so cool.
all went to. They got together all the different organizations around campuses, and that was really fun.
All right. So do you guys ever sit down with someone who wants to study the Bible with you, or?
I've actually attended Bible study on campus.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my family, they didn't understand why I was an atheist, and they would be quoting Bible at me. So if I wanted to be able to have a conversation with them, I needed to better understand the Bible. So when I was offered Bible study, I did attend Bible study, and yeah, it's like every single campus ministry on campus, they have their own version of Bible study. Each of them have different beliefs and different ways of looking at the Bible, which is allegory, which is true, which is how do you become saved? There's a lot of nuance depending on which campus ministry you go to. So there is a lot to learn. Yeah.
And I think with the organizations that we have tried to make, who have made an effort to reach out to us, the Baha'i Club in specific, we recently, me and CJ just recently attended an event they put on. They had a documentary screening to light a candle about the Baha'i faith and all the trouble they're experiencing back in Iran. Yeah, so that was really interesting. So we always love to go support other organizations. We also recently attended an event by the Hillel Society on campus, the Jewish Society, and they had this great entertainer come sing, and she was very well known in that part of the world, Israel and stuff. So.
Are there any atheists there?
No, we did not know, but I mean, we love, interacting with other religious groups, and we always stay after and mingle and talk to the students, and we have some really interesting discussions. So I think overall it's been a really peaceful, positive relationship with other clubs.
And that's good too, because I think like we were saying before, atheism has a reputation for being a little grumpy pants,
right? Definitely a know-it-all,
grumpy cat. Yeah. So
hopefully we're helping put those thoughts away and building a new reputation for ourselves.
And I think that we're kind of succeeding because
a
lot of different organizations do come to us, right? Like the Baha'i Club, the Hillel Society, the Muslim students. We do have a place for everyone. It's just have an open mind.
Do you think, though, that having the open mind that you do, and having a bunch of organizations come in and talk to you about things, do you think that there is a little bit, do you think that there's less challenge to other people's faith? Like, do you feel like you don't challenge people's faith or challenge the other people's perspectives as much? Because if you really do believe it's not necessarily that the person themselves are just horribly irrational, but the actual belief itself is irrational. Do you ever feel like you don't challenge something that you believe is wrong because of that?
So we don't make a point to go and challenge people individually on their belief as much, I don't think, but every discussion that we have every week challenges people's beliefs. It's going to challenge something. So I think in that aspect we absolutely do, but again, it's the people who attend are very open-minded. Everyone's very respectful of everyone else who is attending. So you're challenging each other, and you're being skeptical about your own beliefs as well as everyone else's. So I think it's a really good environment to do that, and our meetings are really I think a good place for that.
I mean, that was like one of my biggest questions, because sometimes it feels like when someone's too open-minded, instead of being open-minded, they're really just being
gullible.
Not pushovers, but pushover.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying you guys are pushovers, but being open-minded is good in order to kind of put on the idea for a moment in order to figure out whether or not that idea is something that you want personally. But when it comes to whether or not we need to actually speak out against ideas that are not rational, that could lead to other irrational ideas. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, wondering.
As a club, I don't think I could make a blanket statement for the whole club.
Yeah.
But everyone is a little different, and that we do have some members who are a little more challenging and a little more I'm not attacking people, but a little more. I'm not sure the word I'm thinking about, but
upfront, forward.
Yeah, sure. Not
critical.
Scared to be like, well, I don't agree with you, and this is why. And we do have those who just kind of stay back, and they're like, okay, I just want to hear everyone's ideas, and so it really varies on an individual level.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. For the audience, can you mention the website to register for the event?
Yeah, we'll just wrap up by you summarizing again kind of what's going on. Young Atheist Convention, some viewers may have just tuned in. So
Right, absolutely. So what we've been talking about is the 2015 Young Atheist Convention that the Secular Student Alliance at George Mason University is putting on. It's going to be on April 5th, Easter Sunday, from 12 to 6 p.m. We're going to have speakers, panelists, entertainment, food. So we hope to see you all there. Again, attendance is completely free, and if you want to RSVP to this event or find out any other information, you can go to our website, and that's youngatheistconvention.splashthat.com.
Free food.
Thank you, everyone.
I mean, yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to Road to Reason. Tune in next week to talk about with Baba Brinkman. Thank you very much for coming.